Welcome to the Technologist Forum. Today, January 27th. Man, we already almost through with this first month of 2024. Walter Strong, how you living, man?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Oh,
children of
shoot.
all ages, we are live here on the Technologist Forum with Mr. James Hicks, Creators
This brother,
Lunchroom Table. I'm good, man. I'm good. How you doing?
man, this brother came in with the heat. I ain't mad at that, man. You know, make sure you're awake, boy, because Walter Strong is in the building. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Shouts out to folks that are coming into the community, especially the moderator of choice. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Kevin Cox. That's a good band right there. I'm always glad to have Mr. Cox to keep track of what's going on. Because
Yes.
I've had some things in the chat before that I've needed someone with a well, I'm not gonna say anything. We're not gonna go down that
No.
rabbit.
You need the type of person that cares like
Yeah,
that, and I'm slowly graduating myself to have a moderator who
gotta have them.
feels just as passionate as Mr. Cox. So I appreciate individuals like Mr. Cox
All right,
who
you know,
bring that
maybe
passion
let's
and
talk
love.
about that too. But let me acknowledge Florence in the building. Good to see you as well. Appreciate you for being here, my friend. Um, as you guys know, we talk about everything from
Mhm.
consumer enterprise technology here, and when we get the panel together, it's just a dialogue mainly around talking to the community. So as you come in, and as you have a question, put a Q colon in front of it so me and Walter can address that. Well,
Mhm.
let me start with this, man, because you touched on something about communities and communities growing, engagement, things of that nature, and having someone to help you do the thing, right?
Mhm.
Help you manage the tactical or the administrative pieces while you're live, while you're engaging with the audience. How has that been for you? Because literally, I've seen you, and I talked to you about this before we went live. I've seen you kick it into another gear, right? In
Mhm.
terms of reaching your community, spreading messages, uh, going live on various platforms. Do you have folks working alongside of you to help you with delivering those messages, or how are you going about making the huddle more relevant, more approachable, more just more out there? How are you going about moving forward with the huddle?
Great question. So on the YouTube side, since being back now for a little over close to 3 months, I end up stepping away from the huddle because I got to a point as a content creator where I felt like I had reached the point where the channel was not growing from a metric standpoint. But one of the cardinal mistakes that I made as a content creator, if you look too much at the metrics and the numbers and the subscribers, you overlook the real growth that you're seeing from your audience and your
Mm,
community. So when I saw and was able to identify certain individuals who had been consistent with me for the last 2 years or plus, and how they roll with me regardless of how many people were there, I failed to understand the value of that. And when I went back and then you saw the new other channel that I started on NBA Sports Talk, and I was
yeah.
doing that. Clearly, I was out of my lane, regardless of how much I have a passion and an itch for it. I was out of my lane because I'm not a Stephen A. Smith, even though I could probably go 2 minutes with him and then he'll destroy me. I'm not a Brian Windhorst. I'm not a Rich Eisman, and I don't have connections with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. And so it became clear that I needed to come back to the huddle. But I said,
Mm,
if I come back to the huddle, I'm going to have to do things different, and I'm going to have to stop looking always at the metrics and the numbers. Though the metrics of 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time is important for you to get you to a certain point, but that's still not the priority. And so I said, I'm going to come back, see the value in what I have, and build with it. And so one of those things was looking at a moderator, because, for example, one of the moderators who's in the chat today, we had an experience where someone was coming on and clearly they had other intended
mm,
motives of
mm,
what they wanted to do on the channel. And so when I had a Zoom call with the individual, they let me know their passion about how upset they were and how they felt that this person was being a threat not only to the audience but the community as a whole, and how we need. So when I heard that passion and that fire out of that person, it was like, this is your moderator.
yeah.
This is your moderator. You don't have to go through no long, extensive search and call James Hick and say, what do you think, or who you think I should? This is the person that they care about what you're trying to build with the huddle. And so you need to take your little 10 fingers of self-control off the wheel in this area and let this person handle it. And so making that shift has helped me now to be more freed up and now focusing and drilling on the content. And then also being able to follow and bounce off of their leads. So you mentioned Mr. Cox. So one of the adjustments that I had to understand was that when you say put a C in front of the comments, put a Q in front of the question, that doesn't mean for you as a person to go looking for everything that don't have a C and a Q front. I had to learn that. I mean, that may sound.
See, come on, but keep going, because again, it may be assumptions that we make, but you're actually saying things that they may sound like common sense or assumptions, but these are things you actually have to think consciously about. So I didn't mean to interrupt and interject, but keep going, man. That's good stuff.
Right, and so now if I'm chasing after squirrel, this comment over here, or squirrel, this question over here, and they don't have a C, I think Sean Cannell does 4 questions in front and back. If you're chasing after all these other comments that you want to put up, when clearly that the moderator has set the expectation of how you engage in the chat, how you can engage in pulling up comments as a live stream host. If you're doing now, the minutes that you have to get someone to watch and engage in your content, you've wasted that minute and you can't get it back.
Wow.
And as a result, you can lose a viewer.
There it is. Right. So you said a whole lot right there, right? And all relevant. I'm gonna get to these comments as well. I see you guys chiming in, but so talk to us a little bit about, again, that first. Again, you just talked about if you say something, you may lose your guest, you may lose excitement and things of that nature. That first, I call it the first 8 seconds, right? That first 8 seconds, you kind of got to grab them. I tend to cut out a lot of nonsense from the beginning, and I don't do any countdown time, right? But that's just me, right? But that first 8 seconds, making sure that you gather the attention of the folks that you're trying to reach out to. How have you gone about implementing any automation into dealing with some of those trolls, some of those distractions? I'm not going to call them trolls. I'm just saying some of those distractions, because you said, again, we've got physical moderators. Shouts out to the folks that do that for us. But again, that's more of a manual activity. Have you implemented any type of AI or any type of an automation within your streams or within your workflow to deal with things that would pull you off and cause you to have one of those squirrel moments? Because there's a lot of tools out there to do that. And I'm just wondering if you've done anything like that.
Not yet. Okay. And so as I'm building the relationship with I have 2 moderators. So primarily my primary moderator who's in the chat, Florence, from Equip Institute, Power Productivity and Planning. She's the head moderator, and then I have a second one. But the tool aspect is definitely the next progressive step for us to go. But I also feel if I would have jumped to the tools, then I would have missed the learning lessons through the natural interacting with my moderator, because I'm as a growing content creator, we want that engagement so much. Especially if you're going through those lean seasons where no one is watching and you have that big 0, but you got to have that passion and conviction about what you're sharing, as if there was 500 people versus 0. You got to have that same passion. I call it the dress rehearsal.
Yeah,
you're rehearsing for the big audience, for the big recital, and you got to do it like this 500 people packing the room. But had I would have went to the tools, then I would have missed those important lessons on, quick to do this, and quick in your, even with my slide presentations, I would put certain things. I'm like, you don't need those. You have a moderator that's communicating. You have a moderator who's helping you set the table, because sometimes the chat that I'm learning is you build community. Everyone is greeting one another. So now when new viewers come in and they see everyone doing all this greeting and commenting, the chat is going in a direction that's not on the central topic of what you're talking on. And so a moderator helps you as the host set the table on today. We're talking about here on Technology Forum with James Hicks, with his guest Walter Strong, on some basic principles on how you live stream engagement.
Yeah. So let me challenge you on something right there that you said though, because I think a lot of times creators forget. We know it, but we forget. It's not always about who's on the live right now with us. The replay squad is huge because you can't be on all the time, right? If you're really truly a global entity, right? If you're trying to follow the sun, if you're trying to reach people not just in the United States but across the globe, you can't go live at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time and expect everyone that's in your community to log on at that particular time. Case in point, the stream that you've got going on later tonight, right, with the gentleman who's, I believe, in Australia or something like that.
Correct.
So regardless of how many folks literally show up at that particular time when you do turn the lights on and press record and go live, again, your content lives on. And
Yes.
then that engagement continues to live in the comments or in the direct messages or in the emails and things of that nature. I think sometimes folks forget that piece right there, that you're talking to the community. The entire community can't be there at that particular time all the time. So continue to bring the energy, continue to bring the message. Act like they're all there at that one particular time, even though you see a low number or you see whatever the case may be. Right? I'm kind of get what I'm saying there. Kind of
Sure.
get it out of the mindset of worrying about. You started talking about metrics. You started talking about that's all important too at the end of the day. But instead of worrying about viewer count, worry about, is my message actually reaching out to the folks that it resonates with? Because that could really only be 1, 2, or 3 people that it needs to resonate with. And then that can blossom into all kinds of different opportunities. Case in point, you said literally before we went online. See, I'm putting you out here, brother. Case in point, you said literally before you got on that you had a consulting session with someone within your Huddle community. Even though you may not be to the official number requirement for YouTube to be monetized on your channel, you still have business opportunities and you've still built a community around this front door, right? So this is the front door. This YouTube channel that you have is that front door into your coaching, consulting, trusted advisor operation that you do. You don't need you don't need the acknowledgement from Google and YouTube to actually do all the other things around having a business. That kind of
true. No, and I get your point, and that was part of the reason. Unfortunately, I ended up burning myself out and quitting mid last year because I got so focused on measuring my progress by the wrong things, measuring my progress based on who has X amount of subscribers and how many subscribers I have, measuring my progress on X amount of views this person has and who has on their live stream show versus who I don't have. I had really fallen into a rabbit hole, and all I kept seeing is the subscriber count number has now for 3 months stayed at 315. It's not moving. It maybe went up, it dropped back down, goes back, and I missed that. And so when I came back, I said, okay, you're going to have to do some things different. You're going to have a different approach and perspective on this. And to your point, even with the replay value, I had to go back to some things that I had learned earlier is when you don't have a high view count of people watching, that's why a run of show is important. Having a run of show, or what I call what I learned from, give Miss Flowers and his credit, Kurt Nugent called it the live stream GPS. You know, your run of show is your GPS that helps you go. So, you know, at this part of the show, you do these points, you do this amount of engagement. In that engagement, you not only acknowledge Team Live, but you also acknowledge Team Replay.
Good point. Let me ask this, and this kind of falls in line with a question that we got from Florence here. We're talking specifically, I guess primarily, we're assuming YouTube is again that house, that central location that you utilize. But I'm seeing you also go live on Instagram. You're taking advantage of that functionality and that capability. And listen, right now, it's so easy to do all this stuff. There's no rhyme or reason for folks who have a message and they want to share to go out there and again do the thing. Right? You can go live on Instagram, you can go live on TikTok, obviously Facebook and YouTube. You're pushing your community to YouTube. I guess that's the main spot. But in line with the question that we have here, what are your thoughts on having content for your community in various locations, right? Having it in a separate premium community location, like a Mighty Networks or a Circle Network or a Group That app, something of that nature. Buy me a coffee, charging for premium newsletters and memberships and things of that nature. Have you started implementing any of that into your workflow?
Not as of yet, because part of the reason why because I've just come back is I don't want to be a jack of all trades, and I have this over here and I have this over here, but is it running efficiently? I have something up, but it may not be running as efficiently, and I get it. In the world of content creation and even in corporate America, everybody wants us to multitask, but
I hate multitasking, dude. I can't multitask. So
no. But if you work for an employer, that's what they're gonna want.
Listen, I'm the most non-corporate person walking around the building, and I say that to everyone. I am not efficient at multitasking. I can do. I'm very linearly focused. I can do one thing at one time, and I can do it very well. If you ask me to pivot and deviate and try to do too many things at one time, it's going to be kind of a subpar production that you get from me. I can be locked in right now talking to you, Walter, and we can be having this conversation. If something pops up on the screen over here and I have to multitask, or I got these glasses on and I'm getting text messages in my ear right now, and I got to be locked in. That's why I use the word focused, right? I stay focused on you. I got to be locked in on what I'm doing so I can do it well. So
So in response to your question, in terms of those other types of platforms, they're coming.
Yeah.
And I realize in 2024 and beyond, they're important, and they're important to have. However, for me, it's a matter of getting myself at a place in YouTube where I'm building my audience, building my community. I'm certainly meeting the metrics requirements. If the Huddle doesn't get no more than, and I'm not putting a cap on me, but if the Huddle gets no more than 15 to 20,000 subscribers, to me, that's a win. Subscribers. But within that 15,000 to 20,000 subscribers is a core audience of 1,000 fans that I can move to those platforms that you're talking about. That's what I'm trying to. So I'm trying not to go too hard with it. But I am slowly branching out, like you mentioned, Instagram, because I'm understanding now, with all this knowledge and experience that I've acquired, just constantly putting it in video content is not always the best.
Amen.
So maybe I need to start creating a digital download how-to guide. So if I'm after a particular audience for, let's say, church leaders, because it seems like more church leaders now are moving from the Facebooks, they're moving from the Zooms to the YouTube page, and they want to do YouTube now. But when you look at their pages, they don't know all the basic practical principles that me and you know. And I'm like, okay, this is an untapped audience. So maybe you need to start working on a digital download. So what you see on Instagram now is my personal vlog on my journey in creating my first digital download. I've done a checklist. Creating a checklist is through Canva is pretty easy.
Right.
But now when you create a digital download that you want to charge a premium price for, and you want them to come to your online store, that's a learning process that you got to learn and get right. Because if you get it wrong and they download it and they don't like it, and they go to their payment processor and say, charge this back, you got to have the money in the bank account as a creator to pay that charge back. And maybe they don't charge it back because they don't think it's fraud. Maybe because they're dissatisfied with the service, or you packaged it and described it in such a way where they don't even recognize what they paid for. So that's what you're seeing on Instagram, my vlog journey.
I love that.
I love that.
People consume and learn in different mediums. Key is to get the content out in the ways people consume. So that's right in the line right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a actually speaks specifically to something that I'm doing. Well, let me ask you this first. What is one of your metrics? I know you talked about some specific numbers for either subscribers or fans, and just the whole Pat Flynn thing. Like even Mr. Cox was saying, right? Get those super fans. Is there a number? Is there a dollar? What is there a specific metric before you get to a point where you branch out and do other things to the Huddle agency organization? Right.
Well,
What is it? What is it before you branch out from just doing the YouTube and the Instagram live vlogging to where you start offering additional types of services? What is that thing that you're waiting for?
that's a great question. I don't know if it's so much in terms of Pat Flynn's analogy of 1,000 super fans is an ideal goal to go for. So when I kind of look at within my community, I'm still a little ways off. But if I'm going to use a measure of progress, it would be my efficiency at it,
Okay,
at what I'm doing. Because when you become real proficient at
that's a good
at
metric. Okay,
something, your proficiency says, okay, you've done this good enough despite what YouTube may say. It's
yeah.
interesting with when shorts just came. Let's just use shorts for example. You posted a short 2 years ago. You easily got over 1,000 subscribers before AI tools and everything. You easily got 1,000 views and things like that. You post a short today, you may get 100 today. You may get 10 tomorrow. So it's amazing how this thing works, and it's all over the place. But am I proficient at creating quality content? Am I proficient despite what YouTube says?
Yeah.
And if I am, okay, it's time now to progress to the next level in using short form content in another way
I got you.
based on my proficiency of it.
Don't wait till you're 100% proficient. This is me talking
Okay.
specifically to you, right? Because that's where you get in your own way. And again, this is I'm one finger pointing at you, three fingers pointing back at me as well, right? Because if you wait until you think you are 100% perfect, if you got it all down, if you've got that GPS down, if you got that runner show, if you have every single thing right, next thing you know, you're gonna be ready to go live. Your key lights are gonna go down. Your internet's gonna go down. Your guest isn't gonna show up all the time. Something's gonna happen, right? And if you wait till you think that you've always got it right, also the technology is going to shift and the technology is going to move, and your audience may say, where's Walter been? Where's the content at? How come he hasn't continued to show growth and show kind of those iteration pieces? I have learned and I have seen that actually the community likes to see some of those growth steps, some of those failures as you are at point A and then you get to 1% better. So my I guess my homework to you, my awareness to you is don't wait for that next thing to happen, right? I would say fire up that premium newsletter. I would say fire up that merch store or that premium membership. Just get it going. Get it going, right? Because honestly, I believe that you are third person looking in. I believe that you are proficient because you do actually go live on a regular recurring basis on multiple channels and reaching out to folks. So you know how to do the thing. You know how to make a good hook, and you know how to talk a good message and calls to action and those things of that nature, right? So I would say now start branching out and growing, because those 1,000 super fans, that may not be the number for you.
Okay.
For the Huddle, that number may be 250. But you get 250 people paying X number of dollars, whatever number of dollars that you need. If that's again the metric, you'd be doing all right. Right?
This
you
is
get 1,000 people paying $1. Okay, and they're your super fans, and you got $1,000. You got 250 people paying you $499 every 6 months. For those intimate one-on-one conversations and those intimate coaching sessions, for those really guided conversations about strategy and things of that nature. It's just thinking slightly differently in terms of what those metrics are and not being stuck on the traditional means. not being stuck on the traditional, with what we've seen other folks do. So carving your own path, brother, carving your own path. So
No, that's I really appreciate that, because my approach to YouTube, and again, by stepping away and come back when my first go around, and I only stepped away for 4 months, but it was a needed step away for me to cut. Hey, look, you're doing something. What you're doing is only working up to a certain point. But I had the mentality of the late Kobe Bryant. I'm like, okay, I have to be able to master dribbling. I have to master shooting. There's certain things that when you talked about trying to be so proficient, it was like, I'm trying to develop a Mamba mentality as a content creator, when knowing full well that that wasn't Kobe Bryant's life all the time. The reason why we know that is because once the career ended, one of the first things he ended up accomplishing was winning an Oscar, which means he didn't win that Oscar by retiring one day and then all of a
it's
sudden do
true.
Dear
Yeah.
Diary. No, there was some other things that he's working on. And so you bring some great valid points that I have to bring to the forefront and say newsletter, podcast, and more. So bring some
Right.
great
I
points.
mean, you think of someone who's within our creator economy ecosystem, someone like a Roberto Blake, right? He has stated a number of times that multiple streams of income, multiple streams of revenue are required. The YouTube checks that come on a monthly, but yeah, they're nice, right? I mean, they come on the 21st of every month, folks. So yeah, right. I mean, they're great and all, but that is not a high percentage of the revenue for the majority of creators out there. It really is around the value added services that we add around it. So affiliate relationships, coaching, cohorts, memberships, newsletters, all those things around, and then use your dwelling, your YouTube channel, that site as kind of where everyone congregates, and then you dispel your message, but have other things around that your community can latch onto. So there you go, man. There's some homework for you. I know you got to
All
stream
right.
later on this afternoon, but I need you to roll up your sleeves and we're gonna put
Well,
some work in. We're gonna put some work
okay.
in.
All right. All right.
uh,
So our target date to come back and revisit this is going to be 30 days from now.
give you a quarter's time, 3 months, three
Okay. All
months,
right.
because I can guarantee you, and I'm in this enterprise IT world. Within that time frame, even this generative AI, even some of the technologies that are coming out, the world is open back up. So there's some new technology even coming out for mobile and remote production for live streamers, right? So if that's the conversation that you're having, there's going to be some new entrants in terms of being able to do it and making it easier for folks to get out there and do it. So you want to be that subject matter expert. You want to be that trusted advisor that knows just 10% more to be able to tell folks how to do it, how to use it, how to use OBS and Ecamm and vMix and all that, and how to do the remote production with whatever the topic is. But if you stay sharp in your skill set and you continue to evolve and continue to be where your audience is, I think someone in the comment even said, "No, don't try to be everywhere." But I think you're making a good choice of being in kind of primarily two locations. I've even actually consciously made a decision like today. We're only streaming to YouTube and to my Facebook brand page.
Okay.
I'm not streaming to Twitter like usually. Even though I got a good audience there, right? I got an engaged audience there, but at the end of the day, the conscious reason why I decided not to stream to Twitter is because I don't get any revenue from there.
Okay.
I haven't gotten any checks from Elon Musk. I get paid from YouTube, and I've gotten revenue from Meta. So steering the audience to the house to YouTube and seeing how. So I put out a tweet that says pushing everyone to YouTube, but so again, just consciously changing the mindset in terms from a business perspective, right? Yeah, I could be everywhere as well. Right, I'm using Ecamm. You guys all know I could be streaming. I could be streaming on Twitch right now. I could be on Twitter. I could be on all the Facebook pages. My Instagram. I can be in all those locations. Have one person over here, two people over there, 0 people over here. Why not funnel it all into one location? And again, I'm coming from a business-minded perspective. But I'm going where the revenue is, and that's not selfish, right? Again, I'm
No.
in business for business. So going where the revenue is, going where, again, and also where a majority of the audience is. So it makes more sense than to trying to segment my messaging. So
No, that's great
there you go. So I
practical
just gave away
advice.
some of the things that haven't told anybody. They're probably looking on Twitter right now saying, "How come we not live on Twitter today?" Well,
Well, the
Elon
tweet
Musk ain't
there,
cutting the checks. No.
the tweet is there to say come over here, and there you go.
There it is. Hey, shouts out to Observant Lee. Okay, I'm gonna do the tour one of these days. Have you seen? Okay, I put it out on Instagram. I did a Insta 360 of my studio, but I will do a tour. I'm no good at doing like unboxings and stuff like that. I got stuff, y'all. I do. I'll do a video one of these days. I'll do a video one of these days. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, man. See, now they got to ask questions. What are you using Stream Deck automation to send tweet out only? I was. So Kevin asked, are you using Stream Deck automation to send tweets out with the link to you? That is broken. Since the API at X/Twitter, something happened with the API and the Stream Deck does not allow that to happen anymore. So I automate it through my social media automation tool to send that out like 5 minutes before time.
Okay.
But the Stream Deck, there's a couple of things that still don't work. Like the viewers count on the Stream Deck doesn't work still. They need to update the, at least the Mac Pro plugin still needs to be updated. It still does 95% of everything that I wanted to do, but there's there's two things right there. I can't see at a glance how many viewers are watching, and I can't do that automated piece. I can do everything else, right? I can pull all the overlays and things like that on the screen, but that still needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed.
And again, so like you're saying, when you have these other ongoing issues that need to be improved on, and the bottom line that it is not generating any form of revenue from that platform, it becomes, like you said, a business decision now. Should you continue to keep streaming despite these issues that they need to fix, or just do whatever? Again, that shiny, I'm not trying to throw Instagram producer under the bus, but it seems like this latest version of just having to get out all the different challenges with, I was like, why go through all of this just to try to reach an audience when I can just pick up my phone and know it works better on my phone versus on the desktop?
That is true. Hey, so it's not rocket science now. And I think that's some of our challenge as well, right? We, as creators and entrepreneurs, we consume so much, right? We are, part of our job is watching YouTube kind of in a different way than an average consumer. We really absorb actions. We absorb mannerisms. We see other creators and we see. Like, hold on, I'm gonna take these glasses out because who was that? Who was that? That was Steve Worthy. Shouts out.
Oh,
He should be here online, but he's sending text messages out. So he's blowing up my glasses.
gotcha. Okay. Okay.
See,
Hey,
squirrel
he
moment,
want to
right?
he want to be connected in that some small way.
Squirrel moment again. See what happens when something else happens. So my thing is, I was saying we watch YouTube in a different manner. We watch it and really consume. So I forgot what the hell I was going to say.
If I follow your train of thought in terms of our perception of how we view content,
Yeah,
as a traditional viewer versus viewing content that will help to inspire or encourage us or to provoke thinking on how we create our next pieces of content.
whatever you said, I don't know now. Hey,
No,
I am unfinished business. So I am.
No, it's interesting more and more as I look at certain pieces of content on YouTube. YouTube is primarily my main platform. Instagram is coming up second, and then I have LinkedIn because LinkedIn seems to be a potential of tapped creator opportunities there. So I'm like, just keep your eye on there. And
Yeah.
now, what your advice, what you were saying about the newsletters and other types of
Do it,
things,
brother.
it's there. But when I see certain things on YouTube and I get tempted to watch, and I'm like, do I want to devote that time to watching this piece of content? And if I do, how is it going to make me better over here? I'm always, and I don't know if that's a wrong way of thinking. But I'm like, how is it going to make me better? Maybe I'm a recovering perfectionist who missed the Alcoholics Anonymous court. I'm sorry, wrong meeting.
I know, because I know who you were talking about. I'm like, wait a minute, is that right?
But I am a recovering perfectionist, and maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is. But what I'm consuming. I'm very conscious of what I'm consuming on YouTube, because if I watch that 30 to 45 minutes content over here, then I'm going to, on the replay, if I don't catch the live of what you're doing on Teams No Sleep, I'm going to not have the motivation to want to click on that, because tired eyes don't see a clear path physically and figuratively. If your eyes are tired, then your ability to see a vision of what you want becomes difficult.
Well, they're strong with a word right there, but that's, hey, in about 45 minutes, that's gonna be cut up, and that's gonna be all over the YouTubes and and that's gonna be a short in a minute. What you said was a
Okay.
word.
Mhm.
I'm sitting here with my man Walter Strong. We talking about just creator tips, creator ideas, and things of that nature here on the Technologist Forum. Thank everyone for being in the comments. Shirley P is here. She says, "Put your product where the money will multiply." Oh my goodness!
Mm, mm,
See,
mm.
these are
Yes.
people I'm trying to surround myself with. Shirley said, "Put your product where the money
Mhm.
will multiply." I love that. I love that. We've got here, does signing up for the Ecamm affiliate require having a fully built website, or can you point folks to a buy me a coffee link tree or other landing page? No, you don't have to have anything. You just actually have to have an Ecamm account. You don't even have to have an Ecamm Pro account to be an affiliate, which is crazy,
Mm.
right? You can just have the lower vert. You don't have to have the pro, right? So you can stream in 4K, anything of that nature. You just have to have an Ecamm account. You can become an affiliate and then collect revenue from folks in perpetuity as long as they have an Ecamm account.
Okay.
Create that affiliate link, put it in your description, put it wherever you want to, put it in your email signature, things like that nature. And the Ecamm affiliate program, listen, shouts out to the team there, is quite nice,
Mhm.
quite lucrative, and so if you are, even if you're not a user of Ecamm, because I think, well, you use StreamYard, right?
Yes.
But the onus is on us again. So I have accounts with StreamYard too. The onus, I think, on is to know all these other platforms. So I got, I
Mhm.
got Restream, I've got StreamYard, I've got Ecamm, and
Mhm.
I've got Streamlabs, right? So I've got multiple platforms, and Be Live. That's the other one that I have, right? So I have accounts on all those platforms, and I know how to use all of those platforms for the single purpose of, if I'm gonna be, again, that trusted advisor, if I'm gonna be the one that you reach to and you give and you put down your hard-earned dollars to get 30, 45, 60 minutes of my time so we can help you through some type of technology challenge, I need to know if this particular platform or that particular platform works best for you. I can't just go in there biasly saying Ecamm works for everybody. Well, I'm a PC
Okay.
user. Well, too bad. Go get a Mac, go
Mhm.
install Ecamm, and then everything work for you. No,
Okay.
right? So that's the reason why I think, again, the onus is on us. If we're going to call ourselves coaches, if we're going to call ourselves individuals who know things,
Mhm.
you really have to be a generalist as opposed to a specialist. You mentioned about Canva, right? And I've said many a
Mhm.
times that I purposely and consciously stopped using Canva
Mhm.
because so many people are using it. So I
Mhm.
learned Simplified. I learned Easel. I learned uh, the Adobe Suite, just to, again, know some of these other platforms out there so I can make those recommendations should someone not want to use Canva or right, don't want to pay for the pro option, things of that nature. So giving
Okay.
options unbiased options for folks. And I think that also raises credibility because, again, I'm coming in advocating instead of influencing. That's, again, why I consciously don't use the word influencer. I like the word advocate. So.
Yeah, because their position and what they seek to accomplish are two different things. Advocate is, more is you're trying to speak or to assist on the cause of another, whereas influencer, it's kind of more of a selfish. I'm trying to influence you to do this for something that benefits me and not for the individual. So I definitely like this distinction of, and you're definitely, from an advocate standpoint, I wouldn't view you as a video or content influencer. I view you as a content advocate because you're always advocate on behalf of the viewer and those that you surround yourself with. And so if you feel that, hey, I know you use Canva, and I understand you're pretty proficient at, but I guarantee you, Walter, in 90 days, if you try this, and the learning curve is going to be a little challenge, but if you do your graphics and your thumbnails are going to be 10 times much better.
Right. Your graphic is going to be 10 times better. And what's going to happen is you're going to rise above the noise, right? Because there's a lot of noise out here, right? And there's a lot of sameness. Everyone's trying to get that same. We were talking about this before we went live, but the same YouTube thumbnail expression. You will never see me doing a YouTube expression. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Maybe that's to my detriment, but I will never do a picture of me on the thumbnail smiling, looking crazy. I'm not going to do it because I don't want anybody to take a screen grab and then next thing you know, that's all over the internet. But y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right.
That's just not the route that I want to go to. And again, that may be to my detriment. That may negatively affect my results within the algorithm. That's not it's not a metric that I'm after. Don't care.
Okay.
I would much rather highlight the individual who I'm talking to. I would much rather highlight the content that we're talking about as opposed to focusing on myself, which is why typically you'll see I will move and put myself off camera, let the guest that I'm talking to or someone else actually be the center of the conversation. So that's one thing right there. Shirley appreciates you.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, man. Shirley says she appreciates this conversation. Appreciate you for coming in. Kevin was talking about consumers consume content. Content creators consume content differently than other viewers. Very, very true right there. And then this was a statement that he said right there that really resonated with me. Not to be this way. Does it really matter how many eyes are watching, or is your content the same if you have 5 viewers or 1,000 viewers? Show up either way, man.
Yeah,
right?
you have.
Show
you
up.
have to.
Bring that energy either way.
You have to. And there's just certain things that you learn in those times when no one is watching, and it's interesting.
Work in silence, brother. Work in silence.
One of my moderators, she reminds me all the time. She says, I was watching you for months, and you never knew I was there. But you stayed consistent. You provided great content. And what pulled on me to finally respond is when you said it was your birthday. That's when I got prompted to put something in the chat. Not that you were doing something wrong would cause me not to put. She says, I just was not ready. And so it's just a matter of timing. So I do have to kind of remember that word of advice. Rather if it's 0, 5, and then I remember, I think I had one content creator on, and I'm hitting the screen. I'm like, this thing broke. It's at 100 now. Wait a minute, is this thing broke? It's at 400. I didn't even know what to do. I couldn't pull up. You talking about needing a Kevin Cox or a Florence in the chat. I didn't know what to do. There was way too many people in there.
Lord, I'm blowing up out here.
I'm blowing up, and then when it blows up, then what are you going to do with that opportunity with all of that just came from a replay standpoint? So I'm like, okay.
To get them 100,000, to get them thousands, you got to get 5. You got to start somewhere. That's what's up right there.
Mhm,
Right. So we're all in line. And I think what's good about it as well, and hopefully you see this community, this conversation, this forum, it's about uplifting each other. Right.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
not necessarily about saying you're doing something wrong, you're doing something bad, you're horrible, you're never going to succeed. No, it's about thinking a little bit differently, finding some strategies and saying, if you did this, consider
mhm,
doing this. This might work for you. Right.
mhm,
And really being positive, being upfront, being critical when necessary, providing feedback, be constructive
mhm,
feedback. And I think that's something that's missing a lot as well, because a lot of times folks would like to think they can do it all themselves,
mhm.
as opposed to finding an inner circle or a collective or a cohort, just folks that they can really start gelling with, that they can really resonate with, and be comfortable and free with, to be vulnerable. I am the most transparent person as it comes to when it comes to especially spreading and sharing these messages. If someone tells me my stuff is whack and needs to be changed or needs to be updated, I'll be all right. I'll take it with a grain of salt. And if I agree with it, right, if I remove myself and my pride from it, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do something little bit differently. And I continue to evolve and iterate myself to be fresh and new. I don't know if you've noticed,
Mhm,
like even these web frames right now, I've
mhm,
changed the perspective on them, so they're actually tilted in 20% on each side. So we're,
mhm,
instead of being flat, we're
mhm.
actually pointed into each other, just slightly enough for the eye, for the viewer. So when you go back and look at this on YouTube, you'll see that we're actually tilted in. So there's a different perspective in terms of how we're looking at each other right now.
Gotcha.
Let me
Let
know
me
if
ask you
anyone
this
in the comment notices that, because I normally don't give out some of how the sausage is made, just like that. But
that man, that was some good. That was a good recipe for to make some good old sausage and gumbo there, boy. You don't miss that one. But let me ask this question: have you always been that type of person off the camera, or at what? If you haven't, at what point did you begin to really value where you said, "I'm willing to make myself vulnerable to trust"? Because that has, like I said, I always tell you off camera, I always feel like when I come to and be a part of what you're doing, I feel like I'm the new person in school for the first time, and I'm trying to find out what
mm,
lunchroom table to sit at, because a lunchroom table for the new student is a very important piece to how well they're going to do in school and how they're going to get along with individuals. And you sit at this table and you're like, I'm not
yeah,
feeling these people, they're not feeling me, and then you find that right table. And I always say, I'm always feeling comfortable from a grammar standpoint, forgive me, well, I can come and sit at your table, I can learn, I can enjoy myself, I know I'm going to be challenged the right way, this is the right thing. But I don't feel that way with a lot of other creators. And so it's a process for me to really embrace a
right.
circle of people. Have you always been like that? Where did you, when did the light
You
come
know,
on?
I appreciate that, man. I think I will credit my upbringing. I'll credit my extended family and my parents and my travels at such a young age. Right, my dad was in the Air Force for 26 years, so I tell the story. And we were out to dinner last night with some folks. I said I probably got more stamps in my passport than most folks will have their entire life, and
Mm,
just by seeing and being in different environments and being able to understand different cultures, different perspectives, and things like that, right, allowed and allows me to take myself out of the forefront. I can and I will lead and or manage and or do the things that coach, and I can be the guy that can steer you in the right direction. But if I'm the smartest person in a particular room, I'm in the wrong room.
mm,
I don't want to be that person. I want to be the
mhm,
one who's doing more absorbing than dishing out and regurgitating. So if I
mhm,
can put myself in situations where folks are comfortable and know that I'm transparent and I'm open to actually be receptive of information,
mhm,
then there's a win-win situation right there. Right? If I
mhm,
can make you, Walter, feel that James is not going to be sitting around here on a high horse thinking that he knows everything, he's the high and mighty, that he's got all the answers. right? You don't want to be in that room. You don't want to be listening to that guy, because then then they got the arrogant chip on their shoulder and they're walking around like they stuff don't stink or whatever the case may be. No, I want to be the one, sit at the table with you, pull out the pen, go to the whiteboard, and start drawing out ideas and start having healthy debate, healthy conversation, and saying, and before we leave that room, we walk out of there with action items on how to make ourselves, again, I always talk about either 1% or 10% better. We've walked out of that room with something to do to get us to that next step. That I have been like that for an extended period of time. And again, I bring that, I credit my upbringing on that.
Okay.
Yeah, be the sponge. Now, I don't always. Well, I'm not. Okay, I'm just. I'm not even gonna open the can of worms. I'm just. You got to catch your boy on the right day, of course. But sometimes, not always okay, let's move on. I'm not gonna throw myself.
Put that
I'm
can
not
of
gonna throw
pork and beans on
myself
the
under the
shelf.
bus.
Don't open it up.
I'm not. I'm not gonna throw myself under the bus. Man, quality is much better than quantity. Oh my gosh. One home run is better than 2 doubles. So you surely know, literally in front of me are quotes. Is the quote from Steve Jobs. I worked for Apple for 10 years. So, to put the dent in the universe, that I look at that every single day when I walk in here. And then I worked for Hewlett Packard for 20 years. So over here, I got their rules of the garage. And their rules of the garage are about believe you can change the world, work quickly, keep the tools unlocked, work whenever, know when to work alone, and work together. And it continues to go on. But see, some of those are the mentalities that I have had for an extended period of time from a professional perspective. And I've tried to bring those into my personal perspective as well. And the Bill and the Dave Hewletts and the Steve Jobs of the world, those have molded me from a professional side. And so far, so good. So far, so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate you rolling back the curtain to kind of understand.
Have a little therapy session. I wasn't ready for therapy session. Okay. Move it along. It wasn't. Yes.
We sorry. We sorry.
Let's find another subject.
Sorry.
I want to. We always got to talk about some kind of equipment, some type of gear, because that's what it is, right? Technologist form. What are you? Let's talk about this, and then we'll talk about what you're doing later on this afternoon. Is there anything from an infrastructure side, a tool side, software, hardware, service that you're implementing into your workflow? Because again, a lot of our audiences, both that are watching or listening to this, are in the same ecosystem as well. Are you looking at bringing any tools? And we talk Stream Decks. I don't know if you have a Stream Deck in your studio or what.
Well, I have my Stream Deck.
Which one you got, man? Which one you got?
Small one.
Okay, is that the 15? That's 15. That's like.
Hold on, hold on. Be still. There we go.
Let me get you full screen, buddy. Let me get you full screen.
Let me get it. Okay. So you would think person being on camera and know how to put something in front of a camera the right way and doing shaky cam and stuff. This is not Jurassic Park. My apologies, team audience. So I have the team Stream Deck 15. However, there is coming a time where I know the Stream Deck 32 is going to be important to have as well. But and again, you talked about trying to be so proficient at everything. Part of me trying to be proficient at everything is I don't fully utilize the Stream Deck and use multiple pages. And so because I don't, I go, well, what's the value in me getting the Stream Deck 32? But I know at some point I'm going to have to upgrade this as things start to grow and evolve, and I'm going to want my workflow to work more smoothly with, as our good sister Florence always says, with less friction. It's going to require tools like that. So I have a Stream Deck. I've had this Audio Technica microphone for good 2 years now.
Yeah.
It works. It gets the job done. But at some point, I know
is that USB or is that XLR?
It's both. It's both. Okay. So I'm using as a USB could I possibly get more out of this as I went the XLR route, maybe? So I'm looking at that. I have an old studio mixer that doesn't permit me to be able to get up and put it in front of you. But looking at a Rodecaster Pro or a Manocaster, so I could use it as an XLR aspect, is something that I'm thinking and looking at. These are the things. But in terms of like implementing something right now, no. I've been so focused on being proficient, being consistent on YouTube, and just making sure that the quality is there where my peers say, okay, you've leveled up. You've leveled up. Your quality, your delivery, you've leveled up. It's just a matter of we need to push you into the podcast arena. We need to push you in the news. I know how to do newsletters and I know how to do blogs.
Yeah.
I've done them in the past. It's not a matter of me not knowing how. I know how to do them. It's just I'm suffering from just being so proficient that I'm waiting for a certain result to pop on and say, okay, time to do something else, or time to add this with this.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the tough push of someone like yourself, Florence, and others is going to get me to where I need to be in 2024 and more.
All right, I'm gonna give you another hard bit of news right now. I'm gonna smack you on the back of the head again, one more again. all that stuff that you mentioned,
Mm.
you don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. Your mic sounds nice. You come in very clear. You've got it dialed in. If you've got your processing or whatever the case may be, using the software for the microphone, it works fine. Your Stream Deck that you've got right now, just start taking advantage of the other pages. Just take some time and dial it in, right? You've got one page. It looks like I think you got 5 pages on that 15 key that you can start iterating through, and then just start practicing and of going through. I go through 3 pages of stuff on every single stream. So all these tickers and all this stuff, I work through that. So just come proficient in that piece. Come proficient in the administrative piece. There was something else that you mentioned. So microphone, Stream Deck. There was
microphone, Stream Deck.
Do you still stream in 720 or do you stream in 1080?
720 based on the plan. So that is something.
That's what I want you to do right there.
Okay.
Come up to 1080. At minimum right now, come up to 1080, because honestly, when you come up to 1080 and then think about where a good portion probably of your community is watching, probably on a 50, 65 inch television, as opposed to 15-inch screen or even mobile. Just the quality difference going from 720 to 1080, and then the ability to be a little more granular when you start making those micro content pieces, right? Okay. The clarity that you have when you start stretching and zooming in on the long form piece, that right there is definitely noticeable. That's the only thing that you need to.
Okay.
So jump that view quality.
Okay. So right now I'm using an Elgato face cam, which helps me to be able to.
And the face cam goes to 1080, right?
Yes, it goes to 1080. However, the plan itself only lets you go to 720.
Okay.
So do I make the additional $25 investment and bump up so that I can take advantage of the 1080? Or do I just go ahead and go from this face cam 1080 to a DSLR mirrorless camera?
So that's a very good question. Here's what I would recommend on that. This is what I would do. Here's a coaching session, right? I would say, you've been using StreamYard for a minute. Yeah, you're comfortable with that. I would take a look at Restream. See what the value that those 2 platforms offer. Listen, Dan and Gage are doing great work at StreamYard, right? They founded it. They got a great community. They're continuing to iterate. They have one primary goal and purpose. That's to make sure that it's dead simple to do what you need to do to go live. And for you as a host and for you as an interviewer and interviewee, making it dead simple for anyone to do that from any platform, any location, because it's web-based. I mentioned Restream because it's very
Mhm.
similar, but it offers some additional functionality. It allows you to actually bring in live selling. It allows you to go even to some additional locations. It allows you to have, I think, okay, maybe StreamYard has this as well, the isolated and local audio and video recordings, but
Yeah, they
just
do.
take a look at the value of for the plan prices.
Okay.
1080 really is where you want to be. 720 is out the door, man. That's the
Mhm.
only thing that I see from your studio setup, as opposed to maybe some aesthetic pieces. But again, we're talking about the content as opposed to the production for you to do. Take that from 720 to 1080. Look at the difference between StreamYard and Restream. I can give you a promo code where you can get like 3 months at a ridiculously low price. So
Mhm.
from a value and from a dollar perspective, you wouldn't even notice it. But that's the only
Mhm.
thing that I really see that you probably could do in that short term, 3 to 6 months, upping the quality to of your content and to your audience.
To the audience.
That's my
Okay.
thought. That's my thought. So
No,
don't,
no,
yeah.
no. It's
So I always bring up, you know, B&H. We don't need to go to B&H because we don't need to go to. You see, I had it already ready. We don't need to go here and spend your money. But
Mhm.
that's what I would do, man. That's what I would do. Think
No,
about that. Let me look at these comments, man. You think about that. Hover on that.
no. I hope I don't have too much smoke coming from my ears as
I,
they see me taking.
I'm not gonna put. Come on now.
But no,
Today's session
you
is not gonna be that long, and like Florence said, up to 9 pages. Goodness gracious, man. So yeah, the 15 is dope. Keep the 15.
mhm. Keep the 15. Okay.
Learn through it. Yeah, and just be able to manipulate through that. 1080/30 is standard. Yeah.
Is there a difference in the how the quality of the mic would sound if you're using USB through the computer or through an XLR? Is there a difference? And then also, would it also help your computer perform better by being on an XLR versus having the USB plugged into the computer?
Purists will say yes. Right. Audiophiles and purists will say yes. The real value that you should consider is dynamic versus condenser mic.
Okay.
Right. So from a hardware perspective, but now everyone's software is pretty much on par. So if you've got a USB microphone from whomever the place may be, there's probably a companion piece of software that has audio
Right.
processing that will bring in the big bottom, that will bring in the noise gate, that will do all of those things via software,
Mhm.
as opposed to having to need a Rodecaster or a Focusrite or something of that nature. Now,
Oh,
again,
okay.
if you're using software, then you do need to start thinking about, is my system, is my computer powerful enough to do all of those things while I'm still streaming out at 1080, while I'm managing cameras, and while I'm managing comment, while I'm doing all of that stuff. So you do have to worry about and be cognizant of processing power on your computer, but it's minimal, right?
Okay.
So there's the answer, right? If you want to be
Perfect.
from a purist perspective, XL, SM7B, SM7DB, XLR mic, going into a Rodecaster Pro 2 or Focus, something of that nature. I mean, that's where a lot of, again, purists are going to say go. You don't have to do that. You can go with a Wave XLR. You can go with a Rode NT. You can do the USB route as well. Just use the
Mhm.
software that comes with it, the audio processing software. So
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect.
I know. See, Florence, we should be. We only going to charge in likes and subscribes. Not going to charge in super chats. Not even going to charge in buying merchandise from the store. Even though y'all see, I got was it, how much is it? 15% off right now. Golly. But hey, if Shirley's still here, she's got a special code.
Mhm.
She is she's kind of like a premium Hicks New Media merchandise purchaser. So she's got an extra code that not everyone else knows. So
Okay.
yeah, so she's still here. She hasn't used it in a while, but everybody
Mhm.
else gets the 10-15% off. She gets, just saying. I'm just saying, okay,
Mhm.
let me stop. Uh, Lloyd George, what's up with your brother? I'm thinking about buying the Facecam Pro 4K. It's dope, man. But again, that's the production side. And then for Walter, I'm really thinking about, again, what makes sense immediately to elevate the conversation. The content is definitely there and it's definitely dope, but And the reason that I say just go up to 1080 is because now you're starting to do more of those Instagram live conversations as well. So just leveling up, getting out of 720, getting up to 1080. That's where you definitely want to be.
To just pay a little extra ready for the power windows, pay a little
man.
extra for the heated seats.
Go ahead, man. Come on, man. It's that time. No, we're not cranking the window anymore. We're not cranking. See, now Kevin gonna have you out there buying that money. See, Kevin got that. He got that Disneyland money. Just go out there and get it. Just go out there and get it.
Get that computerized Tesla.
But again, so you can do the micro content at a top level again. So that's what folks are saying. Raise up. Restream over Ecamm. Oof. This is a church and state conversation, to be honest with you.
I like that response.
This is a no talk politics and religion at the water cooler. I'm Ecamm all the way, brother. I have, and so shouts out to Restream. I'm a partner with Restream, so I have an account with them that they have blessed me with. I use Restream when internet bandwidth in my studio may not be as optimal as it should be. However, I've just recently upgraded to fiber, so internet speed is pretty dope. I got my bandwidth statistics going right now, and bruh, I'm topping out at 11 megabits per second. So my bandwidth is nice right now. Restream allows you to, again, take one feed, Restream takes it, and then multiplies that out to all of your various locations. What Ecamm does, it takes multiple feeds to multiple places when you're multi-streaming. So there's more of a resource restriction when you're using Ecamm versus using Restream. There are pros and cons to both. Restream obviously is web browser based, so it's platform independent. It's got some functionality integrated into it as well for, like I was saying, live shopping, for creating kind of a fake OTT, right? So being able to have a playlist that will play, that you can schedule on your channel to run for an extended period of time. Hopefully they do some additional advancements on that. But again, it's kind of a fake over the top OTT channel that you can have. Your own DVR Netflix, so to speak. So there's things there. A lot of times, and what you'll see, especially folks within the Ecamm community, utilizing both, just for the fact, and because of the fact that Ecamm takes so much resource by sending out if you're multi-streaming, it takes so much resource from your system. So 6.5, a dozen, either way. I can never get that statement, that saying right. How do you say that statement?
I can't even touch that, bro.
Either way, I've got both. I use them sparing. I use them interchangeably. Today, I'm just using Ecamm. And again, if I ever decide to go to more than 5 locations at a particular time, but why would I do that? I would obviously use Restream.
Gotcha. Okay. There you go.
Never. Just talking about Victor. Victor's got these glasses too. He's got these Ray-Ban stories, these Ray-Ban metas. So he's dealing with this too. He's out there live streaming while he's driving. He's out there showing off. So I love him.
Interesting.
No difference in audio quality in this setting. MV7 for life. Shure. Shouts out to Shure. I work with Shure as well. They got some dope stuff. And they just came out at NAMM with the ability to take an XLR or a USB mic that's typically wired, but actually plug in an adapter and make it wireless. So as we start getting out there in real life and in-person events, you can actually record without the hindrance of having long cables around. You can actually turn that corded microphone into a cordless joint. So that's what's up right there.
Okay.
Production is absolutely workable. Okay, see, Shirley, I see you now. Hold on, let me see. She buy anything? No.
Jen Hicks saying, heading out to visit Annie.
There it is. 6 for one, half dozen for the other. Man, see, that's too many words, brother.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I'm 54 years old. I can't use all them words, man. I
You
need
said
to.
40, 45, man. You look all
Man,
right.
I know. Put my business out there, huh? Put my business out there. Oh my goodness.
45. You got Michael Jordan's jersey? That's how old you are? Okay.
Again. Ecamm for life. Yeah. But don't be broke, man. Don't be broke. Ecamm started out on apps. I didn't get it when it was on AppSumo. I had some of the, what was I using? I was using the Skype recorder that that they released, but didn't actually start using it for video and live streaming until 2020, because I bounced back and forth between a number of other platforms until I said, okay, again, I see a lot of people doing one thing, but how do I just be just a little bit different? How do I keep attention? How do I make it my own? How do I bring these different perspective views on these web frames, right? Because so something like this you can't do right with the Restream or with the StreamYard. You actually have to have more of a professional encoder. So something like a vMix on the Windows side or Ecamm on the Mac side.
On the Mac side.
But
Okay.
vMix is crazy expensive. Shouts out to them. They are the industry standard. They really are. But my goodness, they want a whole lot of money for what they offer.
Mhm.
I'm not going to talk bad about them just in case I ever go back to PC. No, I'm never going. Okay. See, squirrel moments. All right, let's talk about this, brother, and then I'm gonna let you go because I know you got things to do. You got some things happening tonight.
Yes,
You got some
sir.
folks
Yes,
coming
sir.
on, and you are bringing value. Talk to us a little bit about how to use OBS Studio 2024 beginner tutorial.
Yeah, so definitely, I have the OBS studio evangelists, like what I like to call these two gentlemen, John Lacey and Sam Proof, coming on tonight. Special time for the huddle at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where they're going to come on and just kind of share some beginner things that individuals that may be interested in using OBS Studio. Because in my journey of doing live streaming, when different types of platforms or software are mentioned, for some reason I always hear OBS Studios is just completely just blank too hard. Don't want nothing to do with it. And the thought came to me, I said, okay, if I'm going to be a person that's going to provide tips and tools on making live streaming easy for beginners, that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone in my audience of community are all going to use a StreamYard, they're all going to use an Ecamm. There are going to be some who may be interested in using OBS Studio. So because I'm not a subject matter on OBS Studios, bring in the experts to come on. And so they're going to come on and just share, 5 things you need to know as a beginner in using OBS Studios, and just having a good conversation on live streaming. Of course, one of the guests is over in Australia, so that's the reason why we have to kind of have it at 8 p.m. tonight. But we're going to do like a series. You talked about Ecamm. Bring, if your schedule permits, in March, have you come on and talk about Ecamm, getting someone to bring on a vMix perspective. So when we talk about live streaming, or if we talk about 24/7 live streaming, these are tips and tools that content creators need to know, and just doing the basics. How do you go live? Doing the basics. How do you engage? But people don't know how to truly use what they're utilizing. Like you talked about the Stream Deck. Do I go immediately and buy a 32 key Stream Deck, or do I learn how to use the Stream Deck at 15 keys?
Yeah,
That's what we're doing
right on.
on tonight's show.
Listen, OBS is a good platform. It really is. I like what Victor said. It's not that it's not hard. It's just that it's not easy. And the challenge that I have with OBS is that it's open source, and I love the thought of open source, because just like WordPress, the blogging platform, open source as well. So many folks can contribute to it. No one necessarily owns it, but that's the challenge. No one owns it, right? The framework around it is not there, or maybe it is. It's been so long since I've looked at it, so I'm definitely going to tune in. I got my notifications turned on for the huddle.
All right.
When is it? Listen, live in 5 hours. I got my notifications turned on. I will be there. But that's dope, man. And see, that's
grab a pen and a pad and a
well,
nice
you
little
know,
sandwich.
I'm just gonna be there to heckle. I'm gonna be there to heckle. But that's the content right there. So, and again, so I'll end with this, and I'll say that's the one-on-one type of conversation, which you're going to give to your community. You're going to bless your community. You're not going to charge them for it, right? You're not going to have a gate or anything or a wall. But should they want to go a little bit deeper? Should they want 201, 301 level conversations about setting up, configuring OBS, setting up, configuring Restream or StreamYard? That's where you charge them for it.
Okay.
People pay attention to what they pay for, brother. So don't be afraid to ask for revenue for your time and for your knowledge and for your information. So there again would be kind of the next step. So don't just look at this as a one-time conversation, one-time session where you got John Lacey on. That's great. Give it to them. Make sure it's valuable. Make sure it's engaging. But hey, put that call to action either before or right near the end of that session tonight, and say if you want to go deeper, if you want to have maybe a one-on-one conversation with me, John Lacey, and you, and we open up your configuration, we start dialing through it. Send over some Venmo for however Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Send over send an invoice for folks who want to get that intimate, focused conversation and that tutelage. That's how you grow your agency. That's how you grow your specialty. That's how you grow your thought leadership, especially in this noisy ecosystem of digital content creation. Okay. We good, brother? We good?
We good. All right.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that was in the community. This was a good dialogue. Selfishly, I'm gonna say, I learned more than probably I expected. So I'm glad that Dr. Strong was able to come on and have this conversation. This is what we do, though. Every Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, the Technologist Forum. We would just come in, have a dialogue. I was going to walk through, like setting up my Substack, my newsletter. I was going to walk through doing some Stream Deck stuff. I was going to walk through doing some micro content, but this is where the discussion went, and I'm glad that we went that way. So appreciate you and appreciate everyone that came and joined us.
I'm glad I can add value.
Y'all be good now.